So the first time, last month, I talked about love, just like in general. And then the last time I was here, I'm trying to kind of help us envision the kind of world that we want going forward. Because we're pretty sure, I don't think anybody would disagree that there are some things that we really want changed from what's going on now. So the great thing about being a unitic is we really believe that we can do that. We can just change what's going on. And so today, the thing that kind of sticks in my craw about Jesus, he said a lot of great things about love and, service and all of that stuff. And then he said this one thing that just can't be right. Just can't be right. Which is love your enemies. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where we've landed for today. We're going to talk about that. How exactly that's supposed to happen.
Yeah, good. I've been wondering that.
We'll have some ideas. Yeah, we'll share some ideas. So the scripture that I've been talking about is right at the tail end of the Beatitudes, I believe. It's in Matthew 5, or maybe it's the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew 5, 43 through 48. And the New International Version says this. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. And I've heard that translated, the perfect part, that kind of sticks in your craw too, doesn't it? It means whole. It's like the perfection in wholeness. And then in the New King James Version has a little bit more about the enemies part. And in 544, chapter 5, verse 44, it says, do good to those who hate you. Pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. So that's even a little more like no matter what they're doing, you got to love them. That kind of makes you make a face. Yeah. It really does. Yeah, that can't be right. It can't be right. So I kind of have been considering this, and I thought it would be a really good idea, first of all, to talk about who our enemy is. And I know a lot of people have said, well, I don't have any enemies. So let's just expand on that a little bit. Jesus' definition, of course, is those who persecute us and spitefully use us. And Jesus, of course, was right in the middle of a kind of a cross current between the people, the rabbis in his order, who kind of kept the Jews in line. Kept them from getting too far this way and not, towing the middle ground like they wanted them to. If you haven't seen The Chosen, this is another commercial for The Chosen. They have a really wonderful depiction of the Sanhedrin, which was the court of rabbis, and how they love to argue. That was one of the, and this, as far as I can tell, goes on today even, where they love to take an idea and just argue it to death and figure out what the right thing is, what the truth is, and how we should proceed. So he was right in there, he was doing a whole new deal. His teachings were revolutionary, and he was what we might call a faith healer. In Unity, we might call him an energy healer, and he was clairvoyant. So he was like a step ahead of everything that they were doing to him. So that really made him mad, And then on the other hand, here's the Roman Empire, who doesn't want any trouble. They want to have power over the earth, all the people in the earth, and to do that, they kind of go along with whatever government is the people have, whatever local government. And so Rome is noticing that his own people are getting angry with him, his own, rulers or whatever you want to call them. And so he's right in the middle of this big problem. And he has a lot of followers, he has a lot of supporters, but he also has a lot of enemies. Real enemies that persecute him and spitefully use him, and in some cases would rather just kill him, just get rid of him. So that's Jesus's, that's kind of where he was seeing it from. My definition of who is my enemy is people who are mean to me and make me feel bad about myself. There's a wonderful term that I can't remember, I think it started in the late 90s, called frenemies.
Oh, yeah.
And frenemies are people who you kind of think are your friends, you call them your friends, but they're kind of mean to you. And they make you, they might make you, you might share a plan or a vision or something with them, and they say, either that won't work, or what you really want to do is blah, blah, blah. I don't think I've told this story before, but Jim, I had dated a whole bunch of people. I was in my 30s when I met Jim, and I had dated a whole bunch of people, and every one of them did something, in the neighborhood of what you really want is, And Jim said, you can have whatever you want. And I thought, yeah, buddy, check. That's handsome, generous, fun, helpful. Thinks I can do whatever I want. So, just in honor of Mother's Day, my mom was kind of like that to me. She was very, very helpful and taught me many wonderful things, lots of skills, and she was great when you're in a tight spot, she'd help you out. But I never was quite what she wanted me to be. And like if I was fat, she wanted me to lose weight. If I was too skinny, she wanted me to gain weight. She wanted me to do this, she wanted me to do that. And so the times when she was really satisfied with what I was doing were few and far between. So that I think that's kind of colored what I think of as enemies. The other day I got to tell you this one funny story. I don't know if you'll think it's funny, but I do. So I'm driving down the road. I'm taking the dog to the dog daycare. And there are 2 rules for taking your dog to dog daycare, at this daycare. The happy mailman is where she goes. One is dogs on leashes. And the other one is when you go into the lobby to drop your dog off, there can only be one dog family in there at a time. Because you don't know what your dog's going to do. Mm-hmm. Some dogs like each other at first sight. Some dogs hate each other at first sight. So, leash, one person at a time. This guy, so I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking about who's my enemy, And I can't come up with anything. So this guy comes up behind me, blocks me in. First of all, number one, blocks me in. Nobody likes that. What if you need to get out really fast? And you can't. Gets out of his big ass truck and with his border collie, who I admit, they're very smart, blah, blah, blah. No leash.
Oh.
So I've got my big behemoth there, who's liable to do anything at any time, and I'm a old lady trying to control her, and he comes around me with his dog. My dog is going crazy. Goes in the thing in front of me, cuts in front of me. Dog not on a leash. Leaves the door open, even. This is the worst person I've ever seen. And I'm at the time I'm thinking, when I was younger, whenever I'd get really angry, I would cry. And that, number one, diffuses violence. Good one. And number two, prevents people from taking your anger seriously. So I'm as mad as a hornet, but crying. This time, I've decided that since I've gotten old, I think it's like a lowering of estrogen. I just get mad as I get, and I don't hold my tongue. And I may have called him a bad name. Like, not right out loud, but he could have heard it. He might have heard it. And I fussed at the guy that runs the place too. And so I just thought that was funny that I'm like, okay, who is my enemy? Here he is.
Here he is.
First provides.
Take a look at this. So yeah, people who just really aren't on your side, And the funny thing is, they don't have to even know it. He didn't know he was my enemy. He was a contractor. He works for a big contracting company. I looked up he had the name of the place on his truck. So I looked it up. They're a big contracting company. And so he's probably in a hurry. And his dog always behaves beautifully. And, he didn't have anything to worry about. And so I made that story up about him. That he was in a hurry and, in order to make myself feel better. So I'm already forgiven him by making up this whole story. He may be a horrible person, he might beat that dog for all I know. But here's the level of enmity that I suffer. In our government today, it seems like the government is declaring that certain kinds of people are our enemies, are our country's enemies.
Yeah.
Women, people of color, immigrants. And they're trying, you have to, in order to devalue someone to the point that you don't care about them, you have to tell a story about them, right? So if I'd gone the opposite direction and said, well, contractors are just, blah, blah, people who don't follow the rules to the letter, just shouldn't be allowed in this place, That's what I think is going on now. And especially like during wartime, we've haven't even declared war, just gone and, warred on some people. And in order to do that, the person that you're warring against has to be your enemy. And by saying that they're your enemy, it devalues their life, right? So we're supposed to agree, all of us, that these people and these people and these people are our enemies. In order to, I don't know what we're going to do, but it's starting to happen. So what happens in war is, and this is what's, I learned this when I was a kid. I was watching it might have been the 7 Days War. Was that when the movie Exodus?
Yeah.
Was when we were kids. But so I was watching this thing in the Middle East going on and on and on. And the way that works is I get all armed and go over into your neighborhood and kill your family. And then now you have a score to settle with me. So now you war against me because I killed your family. And you kill my family, and now I have another beef against you. So it just goes around and around and around for generations.
Yeah.
I read a definition of it called the circle of retaliation.
Yeah.
And it just goes around and around and around.
Yeah.
So somehow this has to be stopped. This has to be broken. The circle of retaliation has to be broken. And that I think is what Jesus was talking about is, he has that other one that just drives me crazy about if somebody slaps you on one cheek, you turn the other cheek.
Mm.
And I've heard like big explanations of, what that actually meant and the,
Mhm.
folk.
laws.
It's like that, yeah. And I think, okay, but what if that's what he really meant? What if he meant no matter what anybody does to you, just stop. Just stop and think about it, Just break that circle of retaliation.
Right.
So what are we going to do? What are we going to do about it? We had this great, another example of like, okay, I'll tell you that in a minute. The practice that Jesus suggests to break this cycle is agape, unconditional love. So that means no matter what they're doing, they're persecuting you, they're spitefully using you, they're telling you need to lose 5 pounds, they're not listening to you when you go to the doctor's office and blowing you off and breaking your plans and, being mean, saying the mean thing. The way to break that is to just love them with pure unconditional love. Okay? And that's easier said than done, of course. But Jesus says to pray for them and do good to them. Right? So do good. You can always do good whether you feel like it or not. You can always pray for them. And you can sometimes love them unconditionally. And I think we used to have a thing when I was going actively in OA, we had a saying that if you want to know why you overeat, stop overeating. It'll show up like that.
Yeah.
And so you can't, I think they say this in AA too, you can't think your way to sobriety, but you can sober your way to right thinking.
All right.
Something like that,
Yeah,
right?
You can't think your way into good acting. You
Mm.
act your way
Yeah.
into good
And to good thinking, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And so when you're doing good to somebody, don't you feel better about them somehow? I kind of do, yeah.
Yeah. I like my sister now.
Exactly. And the thing that happened with me and my mom eventually, she never did get over, wanting to change me. She couldn't talk. At her last few months, she was unable to form sentences, but she could form enough words that I knew exactly what she was saying, and I just ignored it.
Oh.
She wanted me to go back to teaching, and she wanted me to, do all these things, and that I was not going to do. And so I just ignored it. And that, when somebody's coming at you, that's the turn the cheek thing, It's like,
Yeah.
okay, if you want to be this way, I'm going to be this way, right? I got this wonderful post. It's from Bertrand Russell, who was a philosopher. It's from his book, The Science to Save Us from Science. I kind of want to read that book.
Wow.
I know, right? It's an article in the New York Times. Sorry, I wish it was a book. The Science to Save Us from Science. It's in the New York Times in March 19th, 1950, and here's what he said. All who are not lunatics are agreed about certain things. That it is better to be alive than dead, better to be adequately fed than starved, better to be free than a slave. Many people desire those things only for themselves and their friends. They are quite content that their enemies should suffer. These people can only be refuted by science. Humankind has become so much one family that we cannot ensure our own prosperity except by ensuring that of everyone else. If you wish to be happy yourself, you must resign yourself to seeing others happy.
Yeah.
And so when you're praying for your enemies, you're not necessarily praying that they'll change or that they'll be better or nicer to you or whatever. You're praying for what you want for yourself. You want them to be happy and healthy and well-fed and satisfied in their work and, all the things. And to me, that is unconditional love. That's doing unconditional love. So I don't care how creepy you are, how unreasonable you are, I'm going to pray these things for you. And, it doesn't matter to me how you treat me. I'm going to want those things for you. We had a little miracle yesterday. We have our, I keep saying this, our prayer group that we have on Tuesday night is unbelievably strong. The power of it to change things is just amazing. And Jim came on
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago. I host the Zoom call. And we had these people, these customers. It's been so long since we've had a customer that didn't pay us. I mean, we've had a lot of experience with big jobs that didn't pay. So this is just like a medium-sized job. Didn't want to pay. And the reason they didn't want to pay was because they misunderstood what the estimate said. And so when the bill came, they were like, wait a minute, we thought it was this, and we're not going to pay it. We can't pay it.
Yeah.
We can't pay it. It was an HOA. We can't pay it, like it's against the bylaws for us to pay this. And so we went through all the things. Jim came to the prayer group, prayed that the situation would be resolved. We went through various things that contractors can do. And finally, I was right at the point of going to small claims court or getting a collections agency involved. And yesterday, the check showed up in the mail.
Full amount.
Full amount. No note
Right.
or anything. But, just that, the idea, well, part of it was my idea that it was just a misunderstanding. If we could get somebody to just understand what they had done and how, you gotta pay. Work was done, you gotta pay for it. And then just not having a lot of, we had some emotional energy around it, but not a lot, like a medium amount. So I think like the less emotional energy you have around it, the easier it is to just be cool. You know, we're going to do this and this and this, and they're going to pay us. We know they are, but we don't know what we're going to have to do first. Was the main idea. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it gonna take?
What's it going to take? So, and doing good. I think, you know, we want to resist our government doing horrible things, and there are ways of doing that without treating them like enemies. You know, there are ways to like protest, peaceful protest, voting a certain way, calling them on the phone. These things are not hateful. You know, they're kind of our responsibility. And just to let them know, you know, we disapprove of what you're doing and you work for us. You know? It's the same as if you had an employee who was acting up. And you wouldn't like hate them and think they were your enemy. You'd talk to them and tell them what they were doing wrong and, you know, instruct them. So, the last part of this is personal. I've written it down on my little outline here. Personal cleansing. I love the way that sounds. Personal cleansing. Doesn't that sound good?
Yes.
I kind of like it. I don't know where that came from. So this is a Zen master named Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. And this is what this person says. I assume it's a man, I don't know why. Once you overcome the hatred within your own mind, you will discover that in the world outside, there is no longer any such thing as even a single enemy. Once you overcome the hatred within your own mind. But if you keep giving free rein to your feelings of hatred and try to overcome your outer adversaries, you will find that however many of them you manage to defeat, there will always be more to take their place. Even if you could subjugate all the beings in the universe, your anger would only grow stronger. You will never be able to deal with it properly by indulging it. Hatred itself is the true enemy and cannot be allowed to exist. That's kind of big. You know?
Just the word hatred.
Hatred, and it cannot be allowed to exist. Think about if there really wasn't any hatred, would there be any problems? I don't think so, because we'd all work together, right?
Yeah.
The way, okay, here it is. This is how to do it.
Good.
The way to master hatred is to meditate one-pointedly on patience and love. Patience is the deal, isn't it? Because when your enemy comes up in front of you, you want to do something right then. That's what anger is all about. Anger brings our energy level up to help us do some kind of action, right?
Right.
And protective. I mean, originally protective, but you know, once love and compassion take root in your being, there can be no outer adversaries. As the 100 Verses says, if you kill out of anger, your enemies will be never ending. If you kill anger, that will kill your enemies once and for all.
Say that again.
Okay. As the 100 Verses says, if you kill out of anger, your enemies will be never ending. So like, remember what we were talking about, that circle of retribution. If you kill anger, that will kill your enemies once and for all. In other words, you won't have any.
Yeah.
if you kill anger.
Like you kill the word, the action.
Yeah, yeah. So, all we have to do
All we have to do is a simple thing.
is allow ourselves to be overcome with compassion and love. And you know, everybody wants the same thing, right? I mean, there are a lot of people who believe that a whole lot of money is what will bring this thing to you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a feeling of completeness and belonging and belovedness. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. A lot of people don't believe they'll ever get it. And I think those are some people that need our help. People who have been abused or, you know, have been subjugated in some way, those people really need our help. But then there are other people that are just misguided. You know, they think by doing this and this and this, it's going to make them feel this way. And it's not ever going to make them feel that way. You know, they're always going to need more. And so, so our personal cleansing project is to kill anger by meditating on love and compassion.